All right. Hello and welcome everybody to our next Learn and Lead session today with an amazing speaker. So I'm just going to walk you through the housekeeping items. So we will have Padmini introduce our wonderful speaker who is going to give a session, and then we are going to have about 15 minutes or so for Q&A towards the end while the session is in progress. Please keep yourself on mute and feel free to drop in questions, comments, whatever is resonating in the chat. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Padmini to introduce our wonderful speaker.
Thanks, Uvika. Hey, everyone. Hey, so many new faces. So glad to have you guys here. Thank you, Soo Jin, for joining us today. We're incredibly grateful. So Soo Jin is an AI conversation designer who brings humanity to technology through her creative background as a playwright, poet, and educator. With an MFA in playwriting from the University of Texas at Austin and 20 plus years crafting narratives through plays, poems, and songs, Lee left the classroom to design AI conversations that reaches millions. Her artistic at Wells Fargo, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, where she designed chatbots and voice assistants. So, Jen, welcome and thank you, and over to you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for tuning in around the world. It's a pleasure. So I have not shared on, I guess this is a Google slide deck on Zoom. So should I just do the whole monitor? I don't know what's the best thing to
Just
pick.
share the
Is that
screen.
fine? Okay,
Yeah,
I'll share
totally.
my screen and let's see, screen. Share. Allow Zoom Workplace to share screen. Oh, I got to open system settings, everybody. I got a new laptop, so I got to redo everything. Hang on. Maybe we should have had tech rehearsal earlier. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so, oh yeah, Zoom, I just, yeah, move it over, use my fingerprint. Oh. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. I'm gonna try that again.
Or you can drop the deck privately to Uvika in chat and she can share it for you.
I got desktop too. Can you all see?
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Yes,
okay,
we
great.
can.
And then I click slideshow. Okay, so you all see what I see? Just the slideshow?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Yay, thank you for your patience. All right. So I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much to Padmini and Uvika for inviting me. I'm here in honor of the Asian Women Advancing AI group, and the program is Learn and Lead. And today is February 3rd, everyone, just in case you forgot. So I'm going to right in because thank you for the wonderful intro. I used Gemini to create this image, and it already made a mistake. It's okay. The title of my talk is Judging, Not Prompting is the Real Skill, Artists as Power Users of AI. My copywriters out there, proofreaders, what is the error in the image? My grammar people. And you can unmute yourself and speak anytime during the presentation. I'm totally cool with being interrupted. It's a grammar issue.
What is it that you're asking?
Oh, there's an error. There's a language error. I'll get right to the point.
Are you talking about the comma?
That's what I was wondering.
No, not the comma.
Okay.
I put the prompt in correctly, but when they generated the image, it just kind of messed it up. It's a tiny thing. It's the third last.
Artists as power users, is power user a one word?
No, close.
Artist as power.
Or is it artist
has
to be user?
So
artist as
plural.
power user.
Oh, is it artists?
Yeah,
So
you
either plural or singular.
Exactly. Thank you. You got the bonus points. Either go plural or singular. Originally, my prompt, it was plural, but I don't know why Gemini decided to wipe away the S after the artist. So it's like little things like this. It's hair in the soup, just showing you. I just did it once and I didn't didn't correct it. And usually sometimes when you try to correct it, it's not going to. But welcome to the talk. All right, so I want to dive right into my problem state, because usually when we have these case studies or when I'm teaching, I like to go right in. And as you heard, I've been writing plays for a long time. And can you believe sometimes it takes me an awful long time? Because these days we have models crank out things very quickly, probably even plays. And normally it takes me 8 years to finish a play. And that's not the only thing that I'm doing every day. I do other things. But 8 years is a very, very long time. And I think that if I was really doing it full time, doing research, etc., I should really wrap up the first draft by 2 years. And sometimes I'm writing multiple plays at the same time. You get assignments, things like that. And I wanted to ask you all, timing wise, like finishing work, any kind of creative work, what might be blockers? And you could speak from your own experience as well.
For
Well,
me,
well-
it's really being able to know the backstory of each of my characters. Flesh
Okay.
them out a little bit.
I said
Thank
your
you.
day job.
Yes, the 40-hour day.
You wear multiple hats, right? Like as a, woman, as a mother or, as a caregiver, and you have so many. So basically you're living multiple lives, right?
Oh,
So that
yeah.
could be like one.
Chores.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I want to actually talk about, and those are all fantastic, relatable. One thing that I've noticed that has blocked me is something I'll get right to, but raise your hand if you, or you can use your digital hand. If sometimes you start off with a lot of enthusiasm, like, resolutions at the beginning of the year, and then suddenly in the middle of the month, you're like, huh, what was my goal? And then it just flies out the window. Okay, I see some hands. I see some
Mhm.
applause.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
Mimi. If I had more
It
hands, it would
happens
go
with
up.
my gym. I become very enthusiastic at the beginning of the year.
Sure, sure. Or exactly, completely human to, slip off. But what I notice is usually when I get to the middle of the play, I lose steam. And why do you think I end up this way?
I think you've expended all your energies right at the start.
Character resolution.
What about the
Competing
resolution?
priorities.
Yes, priorities. So one thing that I've noticed is, the honeymooning period is over. In the beginning, you're like, oh my God, I love this play idea. I'm so excited about my characters. And then you get into the middle and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like real work. And what happens to me is I get lost. Like this little character, even if I have the map, I can still get lost. And I'm like, I don't know where to go next. And then I lose kind of like hope or interest, all of it. It falls by the wayside. Raise your digital hand if this is you as well. And it doesn't have to do with plays. It could be many things in life.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
natural. It's
Thank
natural
you.
because you hit roadblocks. There are times even when you're working on a problem and you could hit a roadblock. But I think the key is, maybe I should shut up. No, I'll just shut up.
No, 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 no. No,
I
no,
mean, I
don't,
think
don't. You
it just
can,
depends
maybe it
because
is.
like you have to basically take a break and come back, right? Like you need to find the motivation again to come back and look at the problem, from a different lens. Because if you keep on working on something for a very long time, you exhaust your brain power. So you need to come back, take a break, look at it with a fresh lens.
No, fresh eyes. Sometimes take a little vacation. Absolutely. Often I just leave it. I ghost my own work, and that's not great, but it happens. So I want to actually give you a story of like hope, something that turned around for me. And what happened was during lockdown, a lot of the theaters were not open, but we were able to still perform by doing Zoom theaters. So sometimes, actors actually had things memorized and they would hop onto Zoom and do the best they could on Zoom. Other times we were having readings, and so we would rehearse readings, plays essentially, and then perform them on Zoom. And during that lockdown period, I had a friend call me and said, did I want to be a dramaturg for a play about Korean fairy tales? And I was like, I guess, why not? I'm not doing anything else. I have no excuse. I'm stuck at home. And I was like, sure. And so I don't know if you all know what a dramaturg is. Theater nerds will know. A dramaturg is basically the go-between, like the director and the playwright. It is actually a full-time role. You can get hired as a dramaturg in a big theater if they have a big budget and lots of money. And what you do is you are the play psychologist for new work. And for example, if you are putting up a dead person's work like Shakespeare, but the director wants to, set it in modern times or the future or what have you, somebody has to do the research. And so I always see the dramaturg as a research or librarian who goes out and gathers all the material and says, yes, we're representing things accurately on stage, this way, that way. So a really wonderful resource. And he wanted me to be the dramaturg because, yes, I'm from South Korea. I know some Korean fairy tales. It all worked out. 2 weeks before showtime, okay, so he asked me in September to do this. I said, yes, yes, I accept. In April, 2 weeks before showtime, he calls me and says, we're going to have to cancel the show. And I'm like, what's the problem? And he's like, I can't reach the playwright. The playwright ended up like doing some really exciting work in Hollywood. Because I didn't watch the show, I don't remember the show name very well, but she was a showrunner for Walking Dead. She was a big TV writer, really busy. She is not answering texts or emails from my friend. So he says, we're canceling it. And so I said, hold on, let me write the play. And he said, what? We only have 2 weeks. We can't do that. Are you sure? And I said, come on, let me do it. So like a crazy person, I wrote 84 pages in 4 days. So this is pre-chat GPT. So I don't know, maybe this was 2020, something like that. I would have to go check my drafts. And in 4 days, and so it was like a Monday through Thursday thing. Back then I was a teacher, English, virtual teaching, full load, and I was teaching full time, and I was cooking 3 meals a day because we were paranoid and didn't even order in. And I enjoyed it because I'm home all day. What else am I going to do? And I'm sleeping sleep, but I was a maniac because every waking moment I didn't have to do my chores or attend to family. I was working on this. And this play that I wrote was an adaptation. So an adaptation is when you basically translate or transfer what already exists, a story, to another form. So a lot of times people take novels that are famous and put it in cinema form, and it comes out. What I was doing was I was taking existing fairy tales, really old stuff, like 500-year-old fairy tales, story tales, and then putting them on stage. So guess what my process was to do this so quickly? 4 days. And clearly I wanted to do this. This was not like punishment, and I really enjoyed it, and it was exhilarating. Okay, and I will reveal it to you. It's very basic. All I did was I had to work quickly, so I didn't have a lot of time to shop. I already knew a bunch of fairy tales. I read them online, got good source material, and I had to hone it down to 4. And then I quickly outlined what was happening in the story. So the outline is a collection of scenes that tell the story. And then, so I wrote like a sentence for each scene in the outline, what happens, and then this happens, and this happens. And once I had that roadmap, I wrote it from beginning to the end of the first story, then to the second story, beginning to the end. And I just kept going. I didn't turn back, no editing. This was a rush job, okay? And it was really fun because I just felt like I was in the flow. And so when I delivered this, my director and the artistic director, they were like, oh my gosh, can't believe you did this. And I was working for free. I thought I was working for free. I wasn't expecting money. I should stop working for free in the theater world. I got $70. And you know what? They sent me a check in the mail, like really old school. And I didn't even cash it. And I didn't even tell them I didn't cash it. I was like, I'm just going to hold on to this check because I just feel good. Okay. So after I finished the first draft, we had a read through with the actors. And I got feedback from actors, directors. I was taking notes myself. And when I went back to do revisions, I was deepening the character journey, right? And you want to make sure you know the characters really well. Somebody mentioned backstory. And if you know them well, then they become really alive on the page and then onto the stage. So what did I learn from this process? What do you think I took away from it?
Anything is better than nothing. Minimal viable product is always a better choice than nothing at all.
You still get a credit for actually pulling off a play, and that's all that matters.
Okay, I did it. I did it. But what was the thing I did that helped me get to the finishing line?
A deadline.
I had a deadline, right? But what else?
You had a structure, kind of.
Yes, Padmini's closer. I had a roadmap, the outline. And sometimes in the creative world, people are like, "Ugh, you need an outline? That is like cheating." Or an outline. It's like, so I don't know, like not intuitive or inspirational or whatever. But a story, if you don't have a middle in the story, how are you going to get to the end? Like, story is also engineering, you know? And we're doing experience design. You got to be like, this happens and this happens. And that's how, you know, you keep the audience engaged. So my lesson was outline, roadmap. You can use any metaphor. And I realized that helped me not block. And as someone mentioned, the deadline really, really helped because people are depending on me. And I said, I'll do it. So now we're going to come to 2020, it's the end of 2022, and now we're in 2026. We have these amazing models out in the world. I mean, maybe you might not like the models. I don't know what your view is of AI, but I have been playing with models, talking to them to work with my playwriting. Okay. And it has been a game changer, and I'm trying to help other folks get more structure because that's what I needed. So I'm going to quickly introduce the play that I'm working on. I feel like this is, you know, I'm nowhere near, hopefully, the passing of my life. Hopefully, I will be giving birth to a lot of plays. But if I look back on my deathbed, I feel like this is the play that I'm going to really, really love and be proud of. Sometimes, you know, it like people say you don't have favorite children. I only have one kid, so I have no choice but to have one. But I think we have favorites of things, you know, our favorite friend of the moment, you know, whatever, our favorite, so on and so forth. And so, anyway, I'm just saying that this is a play that's near and dear to my heart. So this is not an adaptation. I'm kind of done with those. But what's interesting is that this is the first time I've been working on a play based on a historical figure. Normally, I'm like, you know, let's work on something new or something recent. But I've always been riveted by this historical figure. Her name is Hwang Jin-Lee. That's not her. It's just a random lady from a Korean drama, but you know, similar period. That was enough. And so Hwang Jin-Lee was a real person from the early 1500s. And what's really exciting is that while she was in Korea writing poems and getting very well known for her poetry, Shakespeare was over in England writing his plays. So I thought it was really cool. And of course, he's so famous and well known. And the reason why Hwang Jin-Lee became the most famous Korean courtesan is because of her poetry, not because of just her beauty or like she was great in the bedroom or whatever. It was like she had amazing wit, intelligence, and back then women's work did not get published, but everything was passed down, oral tradition, and like 6 of her poems called shijos. It's like the Korean. So if there's haiku for Koreans, most people know what a haiku is. Shijo is a couple lines longer. Anyway, she is known for that form, and she's considered the one who wrote it the best. So that was really, really amazing. Her style of writing, back then, a lot of courtesans would write poetry because that's required, like that. You're supposed to show how refined you are by writing poetry. And a lot of the courtesans write poems like, oh, my lover's gone. And then, you know, let me weep, weep, weep. This is so sad. My life sucks. Terrible. But Hwang Jin-Lee wrote as if she was the center. And she is like the island, and the men pass by like ships. And it's like, who cares if they leave? I'm steady. I'm here. They come to see me. So there was her approach. Like she had a lot of, I don't know, just presence And I feel like she was really ahead of her time. And that's why her poems are refreshing. They're honest and, just she's kind of like a rebel too. That's why I like her. So, I just want to share that I've been playing with models. And one thing I want to let people know, raise your hand if you've played with ChatGPT, any of these models, or any Gen AI. Okay, lots of folks. All right, fantastic. And so some of this might be like, oh, I already know this. So hopefully it's not too elementary, but I'm just showing you as a creative, my approach to interacting with models. And so I just want to encourage everyone, just in case you haven't done it recently or you don't have too much fun with it, you don't have to have a plan, especially if like money is not the issue. Like if you have a deadline and your boss wants it, yes, you got to like crank it out and have a plan. But if you're just doing it for yourself, I highly encourage you to explore. And a lot of people are like scared to start any hobby or anything, especially as adults, because like, oh, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm not going to be great at it. And, I think there is no great. You just have to keep trying and you might intuitively get better at it. So here's how I approached. Remember, the word outline roadmap was my key to help me unblock and write to the end. And so I started outlining with ChatGPT and Gemini, and I didn't have the whole story figured out, but that's okay. That's the discovery part. And so I encourage you, if it makes you comfortable, to talk to these models like they're like your friend, having coffee with them. And sometimes if you don't feel like typing things up because you're like, oh, this is so formal, I got to write formal, I've turned on the mic and I would just ramble and then it would collect what I say and then it will tell me what I said. So that's sort of helpful. So back to the lesson I learned, the roadmap. You're going to be dreaming about the roadmap tonight. So what's cool is before I outlined by myself and now I outline with the model. And they're just there to aid you and help you and see things in different ways that you might not have seen. So what I started off with really simply is I said, hey, I'm writing a play about a historical figure, Hwang Chini, and here are the big events of her life that I see. Am I missing anything? Like you could ask that way. You could also ask, what moments will the audience enjoy most on stage from her life? What do you think? Here's what I think. It's like a back and forth. And also, she had so many love affairs. I can't include all of them. That would be too much. And so, it's not a mini series. It's going to be like an hour and a half long play. So I had to whittle it down, and I talked to the model about it. And I will tell you another great thing you can do if you are a writer: talk to a friend. They don't have to be writers, but try out the idea with them. And if they start getting bored, you're like, okay, that's not the winner. With ChatGPT and all these, they are a little sycophantic. So they're going to be like, oh, you're the best writer. You're the best brainstorming partner, blah, blah, blah. So talk to humans to test it out as well, those human evaluators. And that can help you out too, because you'll see when they lean in and they're like, oh, yeah, I want to watch that. So I want to go into my prompts that I used so you get an idea. So I started with Gemini, and then I ended up working with ChatGPT. So with Gemini, the early stuff, this is what I do with market research when I'm working on products too. When the boss is like, okay, work on this feature or work on this product, I go out and see what else people have created that are doing really well in the market. And so that tells me, oh, what's my competition? And this is the same thing. I randomly asked Gemini this. I did not think about, ooh, what do I do in my professional job? And let me take those concepts over here. It was not. It's almost like my UX head or my design head was, taking over as I was prompting. So here's one: give me a list of plays and films with witty and defiant female leads for inspiration. And that helps me because maybe I want to watch those. And then the other piece is doing research. Find all known poems by Hwang Chini, including English translations and historical context. So what was really great about the models, whichever ones I use, they gave me different Korean translations as well as English translations. And so it was kind of nice to see them in a spreadsheet it'll put it in a spreadsheet for you. And also, I got a little deeper, and if you've time, it's going chronological. I started asking questions about structure. So back to my best friend, the outline. And plays can have structure like 2x, 3x, 5x, even 1. And I asked it, you know, what do you think? You know, it's kind of like you put on a pair of jeans and you ask your friend, does this look good on me, or this other one, which, you know, so it's the same thing, but you're talking to Gemini. And then also, if you go a little deeper, you can ask, give me a detailed breakdown of the 3-act structure for my play, right? And then it will do it. It doesn't mean you're going to agree with it. It's just their way of plotting things out. And they give it to me chronologically, but some of these models are smart and they ask you, hey, do you want this chronologically or not? And and another question I asked was, connect this play to my favorite works for deeper thematic analysis. So I don't know why. I'm not a PhD, but I feel PhDs are always into the comparative thing, right? And this naturally comes to me because I'm curious. As I'm developing this work, what else should I study? And so the other thing is I tried other angles, and this is me just brainstorming and having fun. You know, I can ask for the chronological outline, but I also asked for the emotional map of her journey too, because I think the best works of art I've seen on stage, it really tugs you know, at my emotions. And, you know, the characters feel so alive on stage for me. And I asked, you know, Gemini to change the order of the story events, see what happens with that, give me a crazy version, etc. And so one cool thing that I thought, it's not like I invented it, I'm sure other people have done this, but once you have an outline that you like, ask the model to write it in somebody else's voice. And Nikki Giovanni, if you know her, she is a poet, passed away. She taught at Virginia Tech for a long time. And she writes really beautiful confessional poetry, political, and when I asked the outline to be written in her voice, suddenly the outline had this like edgy characteristic, like it just seemed like alive. And she's, you know, African American. I just really loved her voice in it. Sometimes I would switch it up, and this is like not as fun, but you'd be like, write the outline in the voice of the New York Times. Not as fun. But, you know, you could vary it up and see, you can talk about different periodicals, magazines, or favorite authors of yours, or people you don't imagine would be interested in this. And, you know, I even asked it, write an outline in the voice of Charles Bukowski, another poet. And you get a very different vibe, like more earthy. All right. So I'm going to wrap up with Gemini soon here. One thing is I got to connect my Gemini with Google Drive. So there's a thing called personalization that's going to be available. And so I asked questions to Gemini, like, where's the location of my August 7th draft? Because I asked Gemini, hey, out of all my drafts, because Gemini had access to my Google Drive, I'm like, out of all my drafts, which one is the, you know, most developed or most complex? You know, and it mentioned August 7th. So I'm like, where is it? And then, so it was kind of funny to look it up. You can use Gemini like that administrative assistant, and they'll hunt up files for you. So finally, the later steps, I started asking questions like, hey, what theater would actually put my play on was my question. Because I was hoping Gemini would get a sense of what the theaters in town, what types of plays. And I go to these theaters, so I already know the answer. But according to Gemini, where do you see my play done? I actually don't remember Gemini's answer to this, okay? And today I asked, did I ask Meta that? No, what is Meta? Oh, Meta is there, not like Meta AI. It is like the Meta question. I asked Gemini today, what are the best questions I've asked you regarding my playwriting so far? So here's the thing. I don't know if any of you out there go in this direction, but go meta on yourself so you can learn about your own patterns. I always do that. And I want to pause. That was a lot. The next one won't have as many questions or prompts, but here are 3 bullets here, and I would love to hear from any of you all if you want to answer one of these. Yeah, so take a look. What was your favorite question that I asked the model so far about my play? What are the types of questions? What types of questions did I ask? Oops, typo. What kind of questioner am I?
I like that you asked the model to write in a certain type of voice, to write the outline in a certain voice.
Yeah. Thank you.
I like the meta question. I really like that.
Oh,
You know,
this
yeah.
one? What are the
Yeah.
best questions I've asked you regarding my playwriting so far? Yes. Make it do
Did
the
it match what you thought? What would be
I would
the
have to
best
go back
question?
and look, but I think yeah, actually the ones that I've asked so far, there are a bunch of them, but I had to hone it down. I didn't want to include all of them. So those were some of the best ofs.
So Jen, do you ever ask it to critique itself and saying, you know, you did a good job, but what do you think could be improved? Like, do you ask it to be its own critic?
Ooh. Well, it's usually of my own questioning, because what I'll do is after I ask this question, for example, or I ask it to do something, I'll be like, ask me any questions before you answer. So don't feel like you're stuck spitting out the answer right away. And sometimes it will if it doesn't get enough. I do that. Sometimes I will ask it to play devil's advocate a little bit. I don't use those words exactly, but to shake it up. That's as far as I go, Evan. Can you give me an example of the prompt that you use to ask it to be self-critical?
Yeah, well, I wish I was in a more creative industry, but if I'm writing about something that I think is correct, I ask it a question and it's praising itself and it's saying, "Hey, look what I did. What do you think? Do you like this?" And I said, "Oh no. Can you try to look up one more thing. I just want to make sure you're on the right path." And it says, "Great, I'll do it." So I question it like it's praising itself. And I want to bring it down a notch and say, prove yourself, because it's just, and it depends on ChatGPT does this more than Claude. But I don't like it when it gets cocky. So I want to bring it down a notch.
Yeah, total different like persona thing I noticed. I forget which upgrade it was or which model, but uh, it was ChatGPT, and maybe it was more early fall. It started getting really snappy and had this sort of millennial vibe to it that I hadn't noticed before. Before, when it first came out, it sounded like an old white grandpa. And I'm like, okay, Wikipedia, fun talking to you. I'm so addicted to talking to you. I wasn't, right? But now it's like trying to be so, like it's a, content writer, just like I don't know. I didn't like it. I had to get used to it. And now I don't really care. I'm like, just get me to help me deepen my thinking and I'm okay with it. But Evan, if you don't care for it, you could always tweak it, maybe custom GPT and give it a certain personality that you really like if you find it annoying. And also, one time there was one prompt that was going around the office, and when it's a funny one, everyone's like, hop on. And you could ask it to roast you or itself, and then suddenly it's like sarcastic and this and that. So you can prompt it to manipulate the personality. And also, I think some people like to ask it to be really, really like honest and stop praising everything I do. But again, it's so much, what is the word? Objective.
Right.
I mean, well, actually, it's a yes or no thing, right? If then machine, and so sometimes it could act like it's subjective. I don't know, but uh, all of us, we can't be objective. It's always like we're coming from our own viewpoints and opinions. So yeah, but Evan, I think that's cool that you do test it out. Like, yes, Penny.
Yeah, so there was this one tool, and it's been a little while since I saw it or looked at it. It's called LLM Council, which I think Andre Karpathy, he created it. He is one of those gurus in AI, and it was basically a tool where you can send a prompt and it'll send it to multiple models, and there is
Mm-hmm.
a overseer model that'll decide, which is the
Mm-hmm.
best one.
Yeah.
So, and it was still, I think, in development, but it's there on GitHub. And I thought it was really cool to test out prompts.
Yeah, I remember a tool similar to that. I don't know if it was exactly that. It was really cool, like in the beginning, right?
Yeah, there's po.com and all of that, but
Mm-hmm.
this was a little different because it had some levers that you could sort of, pull in. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
just thought
No,
I'd
that's
share
awesome.
that.
So
No,
What
one
was the
thing
name of
that
that?
Mhm.
Padmini, what was the name of that?
LLM Council, it's a GitHub repo. And
Okay.
if you'll just look up Andre Karpathy LLM Council, you'll see it. And I tried to fork that repo and try to make it my own and work with it, but I was running into issues. So, but
Okay.
yeah.
I just want to add, because sometimes, as a lot of people have pointed that there's a lot of flattery involved. So in my instructions in GPT, I've already instructed that do not use flowery language, no flattery. So because I don't like, certain things. And then I always try to question, like, when it says, and similar to what you said, Evan, right? Like asking, like, are you missing anything? Are you sure about this? Have you double checked your work? Right? So then it goes back and it does. But oftentimes, because I try to push it too far, so the very first time when it gives me stuff and the next few iterations it gives, it ends up missing some of the things that I might have liked in the initial output that came. So that's another thing that it runs into when you try to push it too far. And of course, I try to push it a lot.
Okay, no, fantastic. There is a thing, I haven't used it. I think it's called branching, that if you want to do that, you can. So you start with a topic and you split into another. And some people have really enjoyed it. So I think it's with Gemini. I don't know. I can't,
Same problem, by the way, which is that it starts making up some things. Like, for instance, I had to invent a character name on me the other day, and I was like, where did this name come from? And I was like, oh, sorry, you're right. I didn't mean to do that. So what I then had to do is I was like, I need you to put a Bible together for me. And then every single time I send any questions in, I send the Bible in so that it A/Bs all of its thoughts against something that I like know to be true. Um, I've been thinking a lot about like what I think the best questions you've been asking are, and it does seem to be that like the more you challenge it, the better the results are, even if it's like it doesn't get me anything creative. It simply is at least like exposing the problems that like I have left to deal with or something, you know?
yes. In fact, Chris, you make me think about what am I not including in my play, or what could be the weakest part of my outline? You can get more hypercritical, but I'm in this generative space. So it's like, let me get to the outline, let me get to the end, and then we can pick it apart. Because sometimes if you pick apart something before it's even born, then you'll like be like, I don't even want to give birth. But yeah, but thank you. Thank you. But that's a good trick, your Bible. So I'm going to move on and share with you. I asked chat, I think, is it chat? No, sorry. I messed up. It should say Gemini Reflex. I feel so bad. It's Gemini, not ChatGPT. So I put the questions in. I wanted to hear from the audience first. And then now Gemini said, in general, the way that I ask, the questions are iterative, analytical, cognitive, really doesn't sound playwright. I'm like, ooh, but it's okay. And then my playwriting questions are structural and investigative, architective, narrative, research driven. And I'm like, wow, I sound like a total PhD nerd. This doesn't sound very like fluid and inspirational, what have you. But I don't think Gemini was trying to fluff up my ego, but noticing things. And when I go to these models, I'm there to learn. I'm not there to like be BFFs personally. I don't need an AI companion like a BFF. I need like break down my thinking, help me get to the best outline, whatever, because I want to get to my product, which is my first draft. And the one word I thought Gemini did a good job with is interdisciplinary prompt engineer. So I can do multiple things. I'm not just, siloed in one job. And it noticed that I'm looking for underlying patterns in life, and it's showing up in my prompting. I want to see the patterns. I want to see the connections so that I can make meaning. So my evolution, I started off as, okay, let me nerd out and learn all about Hung Jin and so on and so forth, Joseon Dynasty, Confucian lifestyle back then, all of it. And then as I got deeper and deeper into, whoa, I need to crank out a draft, enough research, I had to put on the architect hat. And it really made me think like, what will be the best recipe? What will be the best direction? And so I really felt it's like being almost like a product manager, not just a designer. And so I was having a good time with Gemini. I'm like, let me play with the other models. And so I really feel like in the AI space, it's really great to be polyamorous. Go play with all the models, because then you'll know, ooh, this one is good at that. This one is good at this. They change, too. So that's the other thing. And so the pattern behind my best questions. Okay. Again, always go a little meta so you can learn about yourself. And instead of, what am I doing? The meta questions are, why am I doing it? Why am I asking this? Also with audience questions, I was asking stuff like, what will my audience appreciate or get, I don't know, be inspired by? What will move them? So I almost feel like I'm really concerned about the user, right? The people who are paying lots of money to sit in the seats to watch my play. I hope they have a good time, right? And then, of course, I asked identity questions. Why am I picking this historical figure and why must I write it? I want to have purpose. I hope that there is like a destiny thing, why I chose this character in history. And then also structure questions. Okay. How can action and belief come together? So finally, again, oh my goodness, Evan, you brought it up. I feel like I'm sitting here just bragging about myself now. So thank you very much, making me self-conscious. So I felt like, and these are words from the model. Instead of like playwriting being my hobby, it said that you have senior level dramaturgical thinking. And so I was like, oh my God, it's time for a raise. Okay, so I have a lot of talks with these models late into the night. It just like, I just want to learn more and more and more. And so the thing is, don't just be the interviewer. You can also ask to be interviewed as well. Ask it to ask you questions. So it's like back and forth. And with my engagement with ChatGPT, ask for the best ofs, and I'm going to show you what they are. Oh, and raise your hand if you do this too, the long windy chats. It might not be for plays, but yes, it can definitely be a good resource. So here's what I asked ChatGPT. Clearly indicate in each scene what Chini is after and whether she gets it. This is kind of like a dramaturgical tool I like to use. And if the protagonist it's not clear what this protagonist is after, the scene is usually in vain. Like, why are we watching this? What does she want? And when we watch movies and we're like, we don't know what this movie is about. We don't know what that main character wants. We don't know who the main character is. Like, you don't want to get people lost watching stuff unless that's your intention. And so that is something that is top of mind for me, and something I hope will appear in I will show you something I vibe coded later. And so next one, what am I focusing on as a writer in this play? And it's really, I like the word gravity. What pulls me toward this play? Why do I keep coming back to it? And this one is considered the most politically and emotionally charged question I asked. What does it say about me choosing not a white woman from the West, but a woman from my own mother country, that I'm choosing her as my character? And I think the words got wiped out, but basically saying that it's a strong choice. And ChatGPT's analysis, I want to ask you all what's on the left side and right side, and what do you see as the trends? If you can group the left side and say, oh, those questions do this, and on the right side, those questions do that.
I feel on the left one, it's almost like you're kind of checking the box. And on the right side, you're drilling down a little bit more, right? And I think it goes back to your point about purpose.
Well, the left side is closed-end questions and the right side is open-ended questions.
Yes. Left side, you're right, Evan. They're yes or no questions and like checking the box questions. And the right side, it's more exploratory, philosophical, right? Sort of the deeper questions. They're harder to answer. Okay. And so I was glad to know that at least my questioning, I'm not just doing the left side. And it's okay sometimes to ask the left side questions. But when you are in exploratory phase with, making something, I think it's great to ask deeper questions early on versus later realizing, man, I didn't think about that. Okay. So here are my lessons from prompting. If you start with a new model and you end up putting in a really long prompt like I did, be careful because once you type that prompt in, then it's going to be like sign up. And then when you do sign up, that prompt goes away. So when you're doing particularly long prompts, start it in a Google Doc or a notes page or somewhere else, and then you can copy paste it over, at least like the first time. That's really, really annoying. That happened to me. And I was so angry because it's not like I was writing the perfect prompt, but it's just like I put so much work into it. And then I felt like I lost it. And you don't really lose it, but it's like, having to start over again. And also, have you all tried reverse engineering? I think a lot of people probably practice this.
Look in the chat and you'll see what I did.
Yeah, and I actually just took a class and they referred to it as flipped interaction. So, another way to go for it.
Okay, do you want to explain it real quick?
Just
Did you see?
being the one that's questioned, but I'm interested in what Cherie shared as well, for sure.
Just go look in the chat. I always reverse engineer your character. I looked up how many people have already done something about her, and it's a very crowded field, but nobody's done a modern Huang Jin. And if you did a 21st century Huang Jin, you'd probably have a hit on your hands. But of course, my only play was a musical. So I see everybody with music. But anyhow, reverse engineering is the best way to go because it gets other opinion. And when you do a performance and entertainment, it's all about the audience. If you don't have the clicks, if you don't have the views, you're screwed.
Okay, no, thank you so much. So very quickly, reverse engineering. Let's say you wanted to do something simple like your bio. Please write my bio. And maybe the first time you asked it, it didn't quite get it right, and you had to ask it maybe 10 prompts. So it's a multi-turn conversation. Finally, by your 10th prompt, it got it. So what you can do is ask it, hey, to have landed at this from the beginning, please craft the prompt that you would have needed. So then it will tell you how you should have asked for that. So it's great if you are working as maybe a consultant or at a company and you're like, oh, I got this prompt that really nails it. Let's save it and use it again for another company, etc. Okay. The thing is always remember to ask expensive questions. Alrighty, so this is at the end. I wanted to let you know all this prompting led me to Let's Vibe Code a Tool, and I changed the name to Bright Moon, which is Huang Qin's nickname, but digital dramaturg was also something top of mind for me. And so what I did, my thought process, I like to write a wish list. It's like thinking, oh, it's Christmas or your birthday. What are all the wonderful things you want? Or it could be your Amazon wish list. Throw it all in there. And so these were the 4 things I kept in mind. Like this would be really awesome if we got to do all these 4 things in the digital dramaturg app. And so in plain language, I kind of like go on and on and on. I'm a playwright and I want you to create a tool that will be an accountability partner for me. The problem is I have trouble finishing plays. I need to iterate on prompts that help me get a good play outline written so that I can follow it to write my first draft. I need to solve the problem, what do I write next? With an outline, I have a roadmap that I can use to write my first draft. The outline is a living thing that I will most likely constantly tweak. At some point, I'd love to show the scenes that I've written and ask the model to compare my written scene to the outline. Am I following what the outline says to do? I'd love to get nuanced feedback, such as, is my character behaving in character in particular scenes? I'd love a calendar in the tool so I can track how many pages and scenes I'm writing. Would love to include a goal. If the tool had gamification, that would be great. Ask me any questions before you build. And it did. And so I just want to show you, I used Canvas. Are you all able to see that I got out of here? Okay,
Yep.
cool. So I use Gemini has Canvas, and I put my prompt in, and so here is the tool, and what's cool is I can enter the stage through this way, through the quotation, or here. I don't know why it's calling it like the architect, but my roadmap here, I can talk to a model and describe what's going on, like what I want in the play. And then that's my roadmap, my outline. It goes further like Act 2, Act 3. And then here, I actually wrote a scene, but it disappeared because it's just in this mode right now. But here I can write out Act 1, Scene 1, save it if I want to. And I know the problem that some people might feel is like, oh, if I put my draft in here, is it going to, you know, leak out, or, it's like a data issue? I haven't researched what might be the best way for data privacy, but that might be a concern for some folks who have not published yet, or, published their work yet. Because right now we don't have any laws that say, hey, who owns, the work. Right now, I don't think there's a law that if AI generates text, I don't think it has copyright as its own copyright. We don't know who owns it. So until the law figures that out and stuff, sometimes you might want to keep your own work to yourself. Yes, Padmini.
And I think maybe you've already done this, but adding in something for no plagiarism, so that it checks for that as well when it's
Plagiarism.
right.
Oh my God, that's a great one too. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But what do we call it when we ask chat to write the scene and then we dump it in here?
Yes, because it shouldn't take, because it's basically a prediction thing, right? It's trained on stuff on the internet, so it shouldn't take words,
Ooh,
copy
right,
paste
because
them as.
usually there isn't like the attribution like, oh, according to such and that. Yeah, you're totally right. And so
Yeah.
here's the calendar piece. I just wanted to show you all the looks of it, and Bright Moon, playwright partner. So this is not really about vibe coding, but wanted to show you what I played with. And there are so many others you can play with as well. So, that's another thing. If you want to carry on the conversation, we can talk about, oh, I tried this, I tried that. And so one thing I'm going to add the plagiarism to this, which is important, guardrails. If this goes to production, I would want only certain things. I wouldn't it wouldn't be like freedom of speech and you can write whatever you want in there. Because if it was stuff to really put people, I don't know. I really would have to sit down with a lawyer and talk about it and be like, hey, how closed should it be? Or can we let people write about anything they want? I don't know. It's a decision you have to make with your sensitivity team. I would probably be the sensitivity team. Yes, Evan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You reminded me because I'm on a project now where we got to be careful about that because people are allowed to type whatever they want, and then we got to put like a filter, and you got to filter and say if something is in there that shouldn't be in there, will you pick it up and say no, I can't deal with that. I don't want to deal. You're not allowed to say that. So we have to put input filters, output filters, and I was going to ask you, are you going to ultimately have to worry about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, people do red teaming to test out if it works or not. I would have to think about it because if it's used for nefarious reasons, I don't know. I don't want it to come back to my product and it's like it was born there. I don't know. That would be bad PR. So it really depends. If it's for like education, like it's an education tool for kids in high school learning how to write plays, then yes, I would put the filters in and it has to be school appropriate. So that's an easy one. You follow the policy of whatever the schools. Um, yeah, that's a really, it's about AI ethics, and I would have to do more homework and decide, But then people will be like, well, it's art. Why are you censoring? And blah, 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 blah. So again, right? So it's a yes, gotta talk to the product manager and the powers that be. So I want to remind you all that I started off with my story of not being able to finish plays quickly, and this vibe coding tool is something that it's almost like, it's like, hey, I wish this existed. And then, you have a prototype. And recapping very quickly, the machine that we use, I always feel like it's a mirror. Okay. And your answers from the machine might be only as good as your questions. Okay. And I remember somebody saying about plays should not answer questions. Sorry, should not have answers. It should have really great questions. Then you know it's a good play because you don't want to like tell people, well, you should believe this and that and end of story. It's more about asking the audience to think about these big questions, right, and go home and have great conversations. The other thing is stay curious, jump into prompting as a regular practice, vibe code, and always know that your plans might change. You're like, you want to go in one direction, you might end up going in another. And then finally, this is a real life problem that I needed help with. So always kind of start with those on your side projects and, share what you learn. And don't worry about doing the prompting. There's no perfection. It's just the process. Thank you. And if you have any questions, now is the time. I know we are past time, 3 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
Hi. I just had one question about the roadmap. I really liked how you talked about having a roadmap. Currently, I am a graduate student at Purdue and I'm leading a team of grad students. And I'm realizing how important that clarity is for the team. But I do have one question. How do you know when your roadmap is clear enough forward? Like, hey, this roadmap is good enough, let's go. Because okay, at least now when I'm working with this project, I know there are project requirements, but I always struggle when I'm working on a personal project. Oh, I always get confused. So
No, it's a great question, and I can answer for my experience with writing plays. The
mhm,
first draft is always going to be like the skeletal draft. It's not going to look pretty. I mean, some people might crank out like a beautiful draft from the beginning, but
mhm,
honestly, it's sort of your first. It's like imagine going to learn how to like, dance with a partner, ballroom dancing or whatever. You don't know all the steps and you might, so there's that learning curve. I feel like with writing, it doesn't matter if it's your 80th play or your first play. That first draft can be a little, clunky. It's okay. But it's really, for me, probably the fourth draft or revision where it's starting to shine. So it takes time. But I would say, writing wise, the outline wise, when you have a beginning, middle, and end, start going for it. You have to
Okay.
have a sense of where it's going, otherwise you get stuck.
Mm.
You kind of give up. So even if the ending seems like, it's kind of bad, it's not great, but in your process of getting to the end, maybe your characters will tell you what to do, because then they start taking control. That's when it gets really fun. Does that
That
help
helps.
answer it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So one more question, Soo Jin. If I was going to write about the hero's journey for a character, could I ask Gemini, please tell me what part of the hero's journey is most important, or should I let that develop naturally?
Yeah.
If so, you could go read a book. So many people have written books about the hero's journey. I mean, I think Joseph Campbell has a good one, Hero of a Thousand Faces or what have you. You can, but listen, if you already know about it, watch some YouTube videos, you watch Star Wars, you get the hero's journey. You can go back and forth that conversation and be like, what are the key things that I should include? And what's kind of fun is feed it like what you have, your idea, even if it's like sort of general right now, and then it might help you hone it.
Okay, but what if I want to know which part of the hero's journey is most important for Huang Jin or something? And because I want to focus on the end of the hero's journey but I don't know based on Huang Jin. So that's what I'm saying. How do I know what to focus on for a character?
Oh, okay. So that again is feels like it's a choice. It's like if you have to make your Valentine's Day meal for your, loved ones, you have to pick. Is it going to be lamb? It's going to be pasta. You get to
Mhm.
pick, and you get
Okay.
to choose how that evening goes. For me, Huang Jini, I focused on her love relationships, and I studied each one. She seduced a monk who was celibate for 30 years. I mean, who knows if this is true? Like there are a bunch of these things. I love it. And then at the end, I was like, another religious figure. Okay, put me to sleep. So I was like, toss him aside. I decided, no, you're not spicy enough. Even if you're a hot monk, move aside. That wasn't exciting enough. So then I'm like, okay, lover number two, who are you? And it's like I had to sort of interview, and I feel like it's these particular relationships that really shaped her. It either surprised her, it really made a mark in her life. And like, she died single in my version of the story, okay? But she lived this amazing life though, you know?
Hey, Sujin,
Um, yes,
is it Evan? Is that who just asked the question?
yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Evan, I'm doing this exact thing right now that you're asking for because
Hmm?
I don't have an answer, but I can simply tell you what I'm trying right now, which is um, it knows who Joseph Campbell is. I mean, he wrote the book on the hero's journey. And so I fed a bunch of my synopsises in, and I was basically like, can you critique me based on Joseph Campbell's reading on the hero's journey? And where you think I'm missing something or not, or like I just like told it to like the kind of question that you would ask like, a professor of whatever. And it gave me a whole bunch of ideas, not creative ideas to write, but a bunch of ideas of where I was missing something, where if I had where I was like, oh, well, I know that answer. And so I started filling that in. And then it was like, okay, now we're off to the races. So I used it like kind of like what you're doing here, only I gave it more data. I gave it a bunch of information. And it I think it put me on a better track. I mean, I don't know if it's solved anything for me, but it's funny that you mentioned because that was the one exact thing I wanted to do was like I wanted to like feel like I was doing Joseph Campbell right, you
Right.
know?
That helps. Thank you.
There are a lot of storytelling frameworks out there, and you gotta find the one that makes you feel like, ooh, I want to try this. So you really have to tinker. But back to your question about what is the most important scene in the hero's journey? I personally feel like it's when I don't know if this is the metaphor, but when the hero goes into the cave and meets the dragon. That is the big one. That is the greatest fear. What are they afraid to do? And they can't change or go unless they face that fear. And usually it's like an early wound in their life, that kind of thing. And so they fight it and then they grow up. It doesn't matter what age you are. You do the growing up and then you move on. You're a changed person because you fought. So again, some people might be like, oh, that's a climax. Yes, that big moment. The moment that brings transformation to the character.
Nice.
Hey, Soo Jin, so
Yes.
earlier on, Emily had a question that
Oh.
she put in chat. Emily, did you still have that, or was that answered?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I missed it. Emily Leopold was here. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, is she still on?
No, I don't see her name.
Yeah, she's not here.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was basically around. She said, I'm really interested to know if you agreed about the August 7th draft. Gemini helped you recognize anything special in it.
Trying to remember. I think it was probably my most developed draft. I'll have to go back and look at it, to be honest, because I've moved on. It's like, yeah, you just move on, and it's like the children that didn't work out. Bye-bye, on to the next. Yeah. Any other questions? I like it. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, it was a real pleasure and really fun to nerd out about storytelling. And I hope you all come see the play.
Oh, this
we
was
were like,
great,
whoa,
Soo
she
Jin.
actually did it. Huh, what's that?
No, it was a great presentation, and I definitely learned to look at things from a different angle. So some of us, know some of the things, but really loved the way you phrased it, right? Like storytelling is really an art, and yeah, it was really a great presentation. And thank you so much for, bringing that energy. It was very engaging. And also thank you everybody. I know we went a little over, but we were having so much fun, right? So we can hear you more and more. But we'll just like to close it out and stay tuned for our next event that is happening on February 27th. A little late because Padmini and I are heading to India. So if you still want to come with us, you guys can. We're going to the
Oh my
India AI
gosh.
Summit.
Want to come, you bully?
Well, there's still time. So with that, thank you so much. And
Thank you. It was
Uvika,
great.
quick correction, is February 28th. We are having
Oh, the
that.
February 20th. Oh, thank you. As you already know, right? It's getting late. It's almost 10 p.m. for me. And I'm already like, in India. Mentally, not physically yet. So it is February 28th. And I think that's a weekend, right? Because you are coming back kind of closer and I'm back too. So this is the first time we're going to do it over a weekend. So we are hoping that, you guys will feel less guilty. So please come, and it'll be a round table. So a little different. Round tables are really fun. So, and we'll be making an exclusive post about it, and we'll share what you may want to read so that you can have an engaging discussion. Now, anything else, Padmini?
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much.
All right.
Soo Jin,
Thank you
and
so
everyone
much.
for
It was
joining.
super fun to meet you
Bye.
all. Bye.
Bye-bye.